What's up, Dub Nation? We are back, and it's an off day, but we have some stuff to report, and I want to talk about Will Richard and how to get him into the rotation. This is a work session, and so first off, I'm going to do daily news from our Discord server. And what comes with the Discord server is my sales pitch for the Love Your Dub Summit, as well as our Discord server, because they go hand in hand. That's the first step, is to talk about the Discord server, which is what we're going to use to catch us up on the latest news. And then I will get into the Will Richard video essay in due time. But at the start of every live, you want to make sure people are starting to hop on board. And I'm really glad that apparently the Raiders-Broncos game right now sucks. So I'm glad of them. I'm missing that. So I want to take a moment to tweet out the link, first of all. All right, Daniel Barry's in the house. They keep, YouTube is still stuck on just showing your actual handle, unfortunately. But thank you for joining as we get more and more people on. I think maybe I'll just start by going to SoundCloud and having that in the background, because at about the 8-minute mark, and if we skip all the 95.7 intros, which there's a lot of music in it, so mainly that's why I'm going to skip it, because I don't want to get demonetized with the music. And I don't know how they get away with that, but so it's really 7 minutes or so into that talk. And I think that might sync up well as I utilize those 7 minutes to tweet out what we're doing here. We are also on Substack right now, so I'm curious to know. 4 viewers on Substack. Yeah, Substack. We only have 7 on YouTube. So right now, Substack is, percentage-wise, Substack is killing it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and switch to the browser, and we will play 7 minutes of the Steve Kerr interview on 95.7. But before I do that, pull up the let's put it on the NBA live feed. Pull up the Discord. Jalen Green had a nice game tonight. And again, I want to just do my sales pitch. This Discord is literally the best thing since sliced bread if you're a Warriors fan. It's better than Twitter. It's better than Instagram. As far as news, it's better than Blue Sky. It's the best thing out there. And I challenge anyone to tell me otherwise, to show me another technology that's better than our Let's Go Warriors Discord server in terms of bringing you real-time NBA news, real-time NBA video, and same thing with the Warriors, which is a subset of that. And that's because we're just utilizing the Discord server and its power of technology to pull in feeds from Twitter, feeds from Instagram, feeds from TikTok. And the ones from Twitter are the vast majority, but there are feeds from TikTok, there are feeds from Instagram, although those are a little bit slower. However, it's the best thing since sliced bread for a Warriors fan. And the way that you get this Discord is you can start with the free version, but the free version is going to eventually lead you to the paid version anyways. And the paid version isn't all that much. The other thing you can do here is search on video. So I just go vid has video, boom. And we have every video that's going on right now that's being tweeted out by NBA aggregators. We have Bleacher Reports doing a hockey one. All these reporters that are at the actual arenas, like for instance, right here, you've got Scott Agnes. He's an Indiana Pacers reporter. So the Pacers are somewhere in this funny facility right here. And like, it's just tons and tons of stuff. So I need to tell you this. I need to say, to get access to our super awesome LGW Discord server with the real-time feeds, simply register for free at Love Your Dubs, which is an online summit that we're doing and that I'm relaunching in the next couple days. And then upgrade your summit ticket. Right now it's $30, but you get it for free. You get the VIP Discord for free. Upgrade your summit ticket and get the VIP Discord until September 26th for free. That's 10 months for free. That is the best way to do it. Well, I got that part cut off, but that's okay. So I need to do that spiel. And now let's talk about, so LGW Discord VIP version. And then we are at the 7-minute mark. What Steve Kerr said on 95.7 today. Okay, we are going to go to do, and while that's happening, I'm going to go do some marketing and tell people what we're doing here. As I just wanted to jump on, and I'll tell you my story after we listen to the first 7 minutes. And I'm going to use this, maybe if I have time, I'm going to use this live stream as the raw video for perhaps a video essay on Will Richard and how we get him more playing time. Up on your screen, as it so happens right now, is the latest and greatest letsgowarriors.com article on Substack. So go there and hit the like button, if you will. I only have 2 likes, so it'd be nice to get more than just 2 likes, one of which is mine. So I only have only one other person hit the like, unfortunately. All right, so we're going to go to SoundCloud. This is from last night. You can see we were looking up Russell Westbrook rebounds. Pretty profound. I thought that was pretty cool. So SoundCloud, and let's roll the tape because right here, Steve Kerr on 95.7 The Game. And I have to be really careful here because they're going to play music at the start of this. So.
All right, Willard and Dibbs continuing here on a very...
Oh, they cut it out. All right, so I think it'll be around the 7-minute mark is where Steve will talk about Will Richards. So right now, I'm just killing the next 7 minutes while I go tweet the link for this live. Obviously, if I edit this raw footage into a video essay, all of this part will be skipped. So that's just part of what it is here. Remember, this is a work session. This is a Warriors work session. The last one I did was on Jonathan Kuminga. It's on our channel. Here we go. I'll be back in 7 minutes.
Day here at 95.7 The Game. Obviously, it is our Warriors Summit, and the cool thing is we're doing it 9 games into the season.
Oh yeah, isn't that funny? They're doing a summit, although it's a in real life summit. I don't know if they stole it from me or not. I'm going to assume they didn't, but it'd be nice if they did, actually.
Precursor to all the guys showing up, we get to do our regularly scheduled weekly conversation, of course, with the great Steve Kerr. So out to the River Islands guest line we go, presented by Great Clips. In sports, success is about team effort, and the same is true for your hair. Great Clips, it's going to be great. And here he is, Coach Kerr. Hey, Coach, what's going on this afternoon?
I'm good. I'm just on my way to the airport, heading for Denver, and excited for our game tomorrow night.
Yeah, this crazy schedule continues, and I just want to throw this out there. I don't want to put you in a position where it sounds like you're complaining, because I get it. Everyone's got a schedule. But I heard, for example, just as an example, Nick Friedel, our Warrior insider, earlier today said in all of his years covering the league, this is maybe one of the worst starts he's ever seen schedule-wise for a team. What is your reaction to that? How can you bring our fans inside what you guys are experiencing so far?
Well, I agree with Nick. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this where we've had so many games in different cities and, no consistent theme to it, back-to-backs. But, we fly to the Midwest for 2 games and then back for 1 home game, then back on the road. And then back for a home game, and then it's nuts when you add it all up. I believe it's 15 games in 26 days, something like that, and in like 10 cities. So it's really, I've never seen anything like it. But it is true, every single team has to deal with a stretch in the season where it's just really rough, and I kind of like getting it out of the way early. I think we're going to survive this, and the second half of the schedule really lines up a lot better for us, and we'll be in much better shape.
Is that really the message then right now? Because I'm looking at the next 8 games. You've got 8 in 15 days, and you've got 7 road, and as you mentioned, you have at Denver, back home, and then a long road trip. Is that partly the message to the team of like, let's survive this and we'll be better later?
I haven't really said that to them yet. What I have talked about is, the early part of the season, we're playing a lot of people, obviously. We want to be able to get everybody ramped up to the point where, they can play consistently high minutes. Obviously our starters are the ones who need to get to that point. And that's probably been the most difficult part of this stretch. Sometimes you'll get a stretch like this in the middle of the season, but to have so many games at the very beginning of the season when you're not ramped up yet. And it's just kind of surprising that we would have this, but I like our depth. I thought last night our depth showed, we had every chance to win that game without our 3 best players. And the reason we had an opportunity to do that is because we've got a lot of good players. So we just have to tighten some things up, and I think we're going to be in really good shape going forward.
Yeah, Steve, let's dive into last night a little bit. And first and foremost, just your impressions of the way those young guys went out there and played, and the fact that a few of them, at least offensively, really shined.
Yeah, I think it showed in the first half how potent we can be when we keep the game simple and we take care of the ball and we run. That was our fastest paced game of the season by design. Without Jimmy, Steph, and Dre, we got to push the ball. But the message is you got to push the ball and get spaced and then make simple decisions, which we did, for most of the first half. And then I thought 2 turnovers really hurt us. And this is kind of the nature of the game today because of the pace, because of the 3-point shooting. All it takes is a couple of mistakes that turn into threes at the other end. And especially on the road, the whole game shifts. And so we just have to pound it into these guys' brains over and over again. Our whole team, not just the young guys, but everybody, that if we keep turning the ball over like we are right now, we're in trouble. But if we take care of it like we did last year after we got Jimmy Butler, and if we defend without fouling like we did last year when we got Jimmy Butler, then we're going to be really good. 23-7 down the stretch last year. And that's the only thing that changed, honestly, was Jimmy controlled the game because he would take care of the ball and he would get fouled, and we were the ones going to the foul line instead of our opponents. So that's what it comes down to for this team, and we have to get there. We really believe we can get there.
Steve, not to ask you to predict when people are going to be under the weather, but we know you guys have certainly a plan to manage the time and the age of some of your star players. Your best guess, how many kind of last night games do you think you're going to have this year?
I don't think anybody can guess because we wouldn't have guessed if Steph got sick. He's unlikely to play tomorrow in Denver. He's still pretty sick. But these things happen during the season, whether it's an injury or an illness, whatever it is. I mean, guys miss games. So every year's different. You don't really know what's coming. So that's why you have to rely on your fundamentals and your decision making and then finding really good lineup combinations and being able to win some games like last night. I think last year, if I'm not mistaken, we were like 7-5 without Steph. You got to do that. You have to be able to find ways to win without your best players. And last night was a great lesson for our young guys. They gave themselves every chance to win because they played hard. They shared the ball. They competed. But we got to be more solid. We cannot turn the ball over with careless decision making and trying to make plays that aren't there and expect to win.
And that's partly, I think, through experience and all that. But I wonder about Steph Curry. Is he going to be on the flight today to Denver? And will it be kind of a wait and see moment whether or not he can be healthy enough to go?
Barring some unforeseen, last second change, I don't expect him to be on the flight today. So he's still sick. We don't need him to get everybody else sick. We don't need him to fly to altitude to Denver for, while he's still trying to get healthy. Now, maybe it bleeds on a few more days. He misses another game. We can't have that happen. And, whether it's an illness or an injury, we've got to be really smart with all of our players so that we navigate the season the right way.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense. Steve Kerr here on Willard and Dibs on 95.7 The Game. I want to talk about Will Richard last night and what he showed you, and I know that he's been...
All right, pause it right there. I did manage to get some tweets out, so hopefully more people join. Nope, not a lot of people joined. In fact, some people jumped off. Well, you're going to miss out. First of all, we will now dive a little bit into... for the Will Richard talk, we're going to dive into our Discord. Warriors news, Warriors daily news via our Discord. So we're going to switch it over real quick and just get this out of the way. But there are some things to report. And we'll go to every post for the VIP people because it's all right there. Click out of the video stuff. And this was from yesterday. So a little bit old news now. But by the way, Steph FaceTimed from his house to the pregame huddle. So I thought that was kind of cool. Let me get out of there. Here we go. That's the one thing about Discord that's the only annoyance I think is the little purple thing that goes right on top there. We love this, just us. Okay, so a little bit of news there in case you missed it. The article that I asked you to like went out, and then, by the way, in the category of former Warriors, Klay Thompson had to come off the bench, and Brad Townsend had a few exclusive quotes with him. I'm not going to go through this too much, but he's basically saying stuff that we would expect him to say. And, some of you might be like, I know if Bruce was on the live, he'd be like, who's Klay? So we'll just move on that. Jerry Stackhouse, happy birthday, 51st birthday. And he posted a threads. He said, I'd like to thank God, and I want to thank all my family. Just a lot of good, truly grateful, stuff that he's saying right here. So if you go to threads, you'll see the video that he has for that. And I added this, obviously. Will Richard, I thought his best quote from last night was that you got to stay locked in 100% of the time when your name is called, because he admitted that there were a couple of plays where he had defensive lapses, missed some box out, let guys cut. I mean, we went through those, and I think we'll go through some of those today as well. We'll just do a recap right after this. All of the little clips that I saved from last night, which wasn't a lot. I mean, there's 1, 2, or 3. I can't remember if there's more than that. And also, I mean, most people would vote for this one being his, being your favorite quote. But I actually like the fact that he described those things that he had brain farts on. But the other quote that he said is, no, I'm not excited about the 30 points. No, we lost. Okay. Mac McClung is now waived by the Pacers, going in another news item that's a former Warrior, just in case you were interested. Instead, they picked up Monty Morris, and his second year was non-guaranteed. So they could afford to do this. And the one thing that I need to figure out is why the Pacers only incurred a $164,000 cap hit. Because I would have thought that because his second year was non-guaranteed, according to Bobby Marks here. But I thought that first year is guaranteed, but maybe because they waive them within a certain period that they can just not incur the entire year, because that's a veterans minimum. That's $2.2 million, I think. So it's odd. But if you were to play for an NBA team at a veterans minimum, that's not a rookie deal, you will make $164,000. So nice chunk of change there for Mac McClung. Today was a travel day for the Warriors. Steph was listed as out on the injury report right here. Thank you for the screenshot by Joseph Dicus. And then Steve Kerr hopped on 95.7 and literally said that he's unlikely to play tomorrow, that he's still pretty sick. Steph is, and probably not going to be on the team flight, which he wasn't. And if you wanted to know what the team flight was like, Tim Roye posted a picture from the team flight. Tim Roye is the radio guy for the Warriors. And here's the quote in question for tonight's video essay, which is, Steve said, everybody is on notice. Take care of the ball, because we have people who are ready to do it and they're ready to step in. And when we listen to the audio of that, you will see that it is in direct reference to Will Richard. And then other quotes from the article. I think we're good enough to think top 4, but we have some work to do, no doubt. And then zero concern on Al Horford, which is the right approach with Al. People miss shots. I see some, Warriors media people who have gotten credentials in the past, throwing Steve under the bus right now for this and for saying this. And those people have never played on a basketball team. They've never coached, and they have no idea how to handle the mentality of an NBA grind. And in real life, IRL, instead of just thumb typing from a distant social media app, those people just get outraged, and they know that they have zero connection to the situation because they're not credentialed by the team anymore because they've been too negative. And they don't get to experience basketball the right way. The way to experience basketball is just like the way to experience life, which is you have to take the ups with the downs. So when Al Horford and Quinton Post combined to go 0 for 10 from 3, if you have been around a block, if you're a mature person of the male species, especially, you know that this happens, and it happens a lot. In fact, it happens so much that there's another guy in Dallas currently benched, coming off the bench because his performance has been of the same ilk thus far as Al Horford. So chill, bros, chill. And that's pretty much it. Now, we have a little bit of a Warriors community message. I don't know why the embed didn't work there. Let's give that another try. Sometimes on Discord this happens, and you just got to go in and edit it one time and see if it works, because it needs to call this other website to get it working. I don't know. Let's see if it works. Sometimes it takes a few seconds. And I could just, actually I could copy. Need to copy the link. Nope, it didn't pop up. Maybe they changed it. I don't know. Oh, there it is. Oh, did I? No. Second Harvest. That's just Steve doing a solid for the nonprofit group Second Harvest. And I don't know why it didn't work. But I'll give it one more try. Instagram. Let's see. Give it one more try, see what happens. There it is. I told you. That's why our Discord rocks.
Hi, everybody. Steve Kerr here from the Warriors. It's been a really challenging time for a lot of people here in the Bay. A lot of families are struggling just to get by, and that's where our Bay Area food banks come in. They're here to help anyone who needs assistance, no questions asked. And, you know, if you're a family out there that's struggling, please reach out. If you're someone who can chip in, please make a donation. Anything you can do at this time is crucial, because a lot of people have lost funding that goes to feeding their families, and it's a terribly difficult time. So we encourage everybody to support each other. This community has always been there for one another. This is
okay. I'm going to cut it there because actually I can hear the background music. And if you have a YouTube channel, background music is your Achilles heel. I made a list of all the practices that I think are going to happen. Once you start getting into NBA Cup semifinal week, it gets a little dicey. And the reason why I made this list is because I might actually attend these practices. So that'll be another feature. So list of practices coming up that I might attend, actually. Also NBA Cup. I won't attend NBA Cup. I don't attend games anymore. I'm done with that. Did a decade of that. I'm tired of it. So I'm happy to do everything from the YouTube channel and YouTube Lives and stuff. So here is the G League official roster. And if you notice, there's actually 3 guys that made it on a local tryout, which is kind of surprising. But at the same time, you see that they all have college experience, and one guy's 6'10", and so sometimes those guys, it's just best for them to just show up for a tryout, and go from there. 6'5" guy, so 3 tryout guys made the SCW roster. All right. And that's it. That's all I have. Obviously, there's a ton more you can get from the NBA live feed channel, which has the latest, literally just now, literally this guy is watching the Phoenix Suns game. And Bay Area live feed, let's check it. A lot of 49ers reporting because they just had media availability. Kobe White sets return target date and all of that. So yeah, I have, various more important, like I'll have hoops rumors because they're reliable, they're journalistic. I put them in the Bay Area live feed and the NBA live feed just in case. Same thing with Shams Charania, Bobby Marks, Mark Stein. Some of those guys, I'll just go ahead and put it in the Bay Area feed because they're important enough to be part of the alerts that we need to have that are pretty much real time. All right, so let's talk about Will Richard. Let's start by listening to the Will Richard part of the Steve Kerr interview. So Kerr on 95.7 on Will Richard and not turning the ball over. A warning, a subtle warning, says 95.7. All right, so let's switch over to the browser. Here it is, and continue here.
Possibly ticketed for the G League, and he comes out and he has 30 points. Does that change maybe the organizational plans about where Will will go?
Well, Will.
Oh, wait, I just remembered. Sorry about this. I want to go over the 4 plays that I recorded from yesterday. Oh, I thought it was only 3. Okay, so let's reanalyze some parts of reanalyzing some parts of GSW-SAC, X's and O's, because this is more general. I don't know if this will result in Will Richard talk or not. So we will just see what happens with these. I don't even remember what I recorded, but they're important because I recorded them. So here we go. And so let's do this. And let's go over here. Fast forward a bit. What happened here? Let's see. Oh, okay. 3 goes up. And I think this is where JK had horrendous defense. Ball bounce. First of all, QP's got to come up with this rebound. Okay. So this is with 51 seconds left. It didn't really kill us. Things that happened later killed us. So analyzing 4 plays from GSW-SAC. First one is the QP bad non-grab of the rebound. JK burned on D. Okay, so QP's going to muff that rebound, get it easily knocked away from Devin Carter. They get a reload right here. JK's a little late. He's trying to cherry pick on that one. And so he gets back right here in place. But he forgets to play defense. And this guy drives. Either you go guard that guy, shade over, or you go help out. He does neither. He just stands there. And then This guy gets open. Who is the guy anyways? DeMar. And easy bucket. Oh, that's Precious Achua. So that's X's and O's play number 1, which was kind of annoying at the time. How I choose these, it's just kind of as they happen. And if we go to a timeout and I have time to clip the play as the game is happening. We have another one here. I don't remember what it is, but let's take a look. Okay, so this one, let's see. Okay, Guy's going to pop a 3. He misses it. Good tip by Will Richard again. He just makes something out of nothing. I believe maybe our transition defense is very poor here. I'm not sure. And I can't just show you the entire highlight. Otherwise, that'll get demonetized. You can't just show highlights all day. In and out dribble. Moses. Here, we're going to have another breakdown. But as I recall this, I don't think it's like anyone's egregious mistake. Swing it around, swing it back. Russ. Oh, this one. Yeah. Okay. So Will Richard does a really good job of covering 2 people right here. Dennis back to Russ and keeps Russ in front of him. I mean, Guy over here and yeah, my bad. Will Rich doesn't guard Dennis. It's Guy. My fault. I've got the screen very dim right now, so I can't see anybody. It's all just black jerseys. But Will Richard is going to contain Russell Westbrook here, which is nice. Pounces out a little bit and stays in front. Like, sadly, there's not a lot of guys in the NBA that can do that. Sadly, like Buddy Hield cannot do that. It's either it's white or black. It's night or day. You either close out, bye-bye, or you just give them space and you stay in front. But Will Richard is doing both. He's giving space with a short close and staying in front, and that's commendable, and that's why he needs to play more. Now I need to step through this again. High pick and roll, but Russ goes left side, and he throws it away. And I do believe that's another great play by our youngsters, in this case, Trace. Trace reaches down and gets a steal. Then we come down. Mo gets it. Wide open. Unfortunately, this goes against us. What was the score at the time? Man, we're up by 10. He makes this, we're up 13, and that would have been the largest lead of the night. But unfortunately, didn't drop. Clanksters, and they come down the other way, and here's another example of tough transition defense. They come up. Monk goes right to Russ, and Russ goes right by Moody. I think Moody needs to foul right here. You can't just let a guy waltz to the hoop like that. And actually, it looks like Trace is a little bit late. Right here, he should already, boom, that split second that he's late, he needs to be on the other side of the circle. So, and just take a charge. So that one I'm going to say is on Trace, but you're going back and forth and you can't cash in on that. It's the modern NBA. So that one was a little bit of not much you can do about, but good chance to look at that. Look at it play a little bit closer and get some reinforcement that the modern NBA is really, really tough if you miss a shot and then they come right back. Let's see, what's this one? This one is Moses throwing the ball away carelessly. He's just going to go right side, and Dennis is all over him. But the thing is that he killed his dribble way too soon. So he's got that. And he should have hit Will when he had a chance, but he didn't, and just held on to the ball too long. And then he tries to make up for it. But once you're late on that, and they come back. And that's where Brandon tried to take a charge, but it was moving just slightly. And then we voted on that as it happened, and we knew that that was going to be trouble. So the next one is the last one here. And so, yes, even Moses Moody can make a mistake. Let's see what happens in this one. Oh, this is Al missing another open three, but what happens after this is the more important one. Gary's in the game. Dennis. And Pat. Yeah, that's very bad point of attack defense. Pat played a lot because he had to be the backup of Brandon. And by then we're down by 5. It was suggested to me today that Will should play more than Pat. The only problem is they play different positions. So it remains to be seen how they're going to do it. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think Pat's going to play the backup point tomorrow with Steph out. And I don't see a situation where it's Will Richard for Pat Spencer. I don't see that. I can see Will Richard for Buddy Hield. That makes sense to me. But that's about it. And especially with Steph out. Now, if Steph was playing, then you've got, Steph can play ball handler anytime, but Will's not really a ball handler. In fact, he's more of a 2-3 because he has the ability to guard up. So he can guard 1, 2s, and 3s. So back to Will. Did we go through that yet? Let's just play it and see where we are.
In perfectly with everything that I'm discussing right now. The turnovers, the decision-making, the spacing, the ability to dribble, pass, and shoot and process. Those 4 things lead to good decision-making as a team, as a group. I can draw a play out of timeout and put Will in any one of the 5 positions. I can draw up a play for him to come off a screen and shoot. I can draw up the play for him to handle the ball and make the decision. I can draw up the play to have him set a screen. So when you get guys like this that provide really solid play and stability, this is what has made our team go around Steph and Draymond. I've said this to you guys a million times. Who are those stabilizers out there in in this decade run that we've had? It's Andre Iguodala, it's Sean Livingston, it's David West, it's Zaza. You need them at different positions because Steph and Dre need stability around them to get them organized and to help them navigate the game and to get Steph the ball. So Will Richard fits all those. He checks all those boxes. So, I think that the whole team, the whole organization recognizes this, which means everybody's on notice. Take care of the ball because we got people who will do that, and they're ready to step in.
It's interesting, Steve, because Will described to us last week when we sort of asked him how he sees himself in this whole thing. And he described it as like the dirty work, garbage man, lunch pail type stuff, do everything. And maybe he is that, but then he starts and he scores.
Yeah. So, well, let's finish this out and see what he says about
And that doesn't say dirty work lunch pail to people. That says, whoa, you kind of pop a little bit. So do you think that maybe even from his view, your view, the organizational view, that maybe there's a little bit more going there on the offensive arsenal than you guys thought?
Absolutely. You know, you don't really expect to see this from a guy who was, what, the 57th pick or something?
56, but yeah.
But what
Was he
we've
50?
seen now
Oh, maybe
for,
it's
you know,
57.
since the start of camp, as I said, dribble, pass, shoot process, those are the most important things a player can have. And then you put that into a body of a guy who can guard multiple spots and plays with the energy that he does, the intelligence. What a steal.
56.
What an incredible pick by Mike Dunleavy and the scouting department. And tell you, when you think about our group the last few years in the draft, what they've been able to accomplish is really impressive.
All right. Next part. Let's just explore ways to, and I don't want to spend too much time on this because I got to go as well, but let's explore ways to get him into the rotation. I think it's got to be Buddy. I think we're at a point where we've got to mothball Buddy a little bit. Plus, you know, Buddy goes in the game and then Brandon throws him a terrible pass on the inbound, and like, that's not his fault. But then the next one, Moody throws him the ball and he doesn't even catch it. It just stone hands out of bounds, another turnover. So like, I don't know. I'm a little short on patience on that. And so I want to tell you the final story here, which is really part of the thesis of this all, which is before I listened to that interview with Steve, I was kind of mad at Steve. And, you know, all these kind of thoughts. Now, I do think also that I wasn't in the best mood at the time, but so that's important to understand, you know, what frame of mind you happen to be in when you make opinions about the Warriors. But then I heard that interview and it actually made me feel better about it. But first of all, the whole, you know, you start thinking of things like, all right, what if we're 500 by Christmas? Isn't that a fireable offense? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Last year at Christmas, we were 500. We were like one game over 500. We lost the game to the Lakers. The Lakers were 4 games over 500. We all know that the Lakers ended up with the what was it, 6th seed? I think it was. Clippers got the 6th seed, so maybe they were 5th. They had to play. No, I think they got 4th. They had to play OKC, right? No, they had to play Minnesota, and Minnesota was 4th. Pretty sure it was. All right, just correct me if I'm wrong on that. No big deal. But what I'm saying is, and the Lakers at the time, they hadn't hit their stride because they made a hell of a run in the second half as well. But it's like they were 17-13 after Christmas. And it's like, well, okay, then we better be at least 4 games over 500. Then you start putting down all these, you know, gauntlets. You're throwing down all these gauntlets at Steve and you're getting pissed off at Steve. And it's like, it becomes this, let's call it becomes higher entropy. It just becomes a release of an explosion. It's like a big bang going outward. And what we want to do is try to go towards lower entropy, which is more order, more cohesion, more emotional regulation, and more calm about things, a bigger perspective on things. And so I listened to this, and now I have a lot more confidence that the coaching staff is ready to immediately change the situation, because normally Will Richard will get the last 2 DNPs. Like, He should not have any DNPs anymore. And I think what happened there was the whole situation with the old guys, and that includes the vets, and that includes Buddy Hield and Horford and anybody who's not a young guy. When you recognize that this young player is essential to winning games and making winning plays, well, he's got to replace somebody. And the process of replacing somebody in a video game, it doesn't require you to sit down in real life with the guy that you're replacing to smooth things over from a human perspective. I think that's what's been happening. I think that makes it more difficult for the coaching staff to go against the vets. My buddy J. Richard Goodman on Twitter has always said that Kerr's downfall is going to be his loyalty to the vets. And we're kind of seeing it, but then Steve goes on 95.7 and basically throws down the gauntlet to everybody else that has more experience than Will, which is the veterans, as well as Brandon Pajemski is I think who he's pointing the finger at, as well as Buddy, as well as Jonathan Kuminga, by the way, because JK had way too many turnovers, and Steve has given him pretty long leash this season. So it's odd that we're at a point where Steve trusts JK more than I do now, because I've trusted JK way more than he has up until this point. And I think today it's a subtle warning is how 95.7 put it, but it's also a warning. It's a warning to the rest of the guys. It's like, you can't be opening the bakery, as we call it, every night on our play-by-play with Bruce and Pinky and all the guys that are on our live chat for every game. You can't open that bakery. I think maybe it still holds in terms of Gary Payton earlier on the podium at practice one day. He said, there's only 3 guys that can turn the ball over on our squad. Now, he didn't name them, but they are Steph, Jimmy, and Draymond. Other than those 3 guys, you really have to play better than Will Richard. And I have a lot of hope after hearing this interview that we will see Will Richard come off the bench pretty quickly as one of the main guys. So that's hopeful, because normally Steve has demonstrated he takes a while to evolve, but all of a sudden now he's okay. This is good. So I'm looking forward to tomorrow just to see how much Will Richard plays, because before I could tolerate a little bit more, and then it got to a point where, hey, look, we're 5-4, and I'm looking at how much of a runway here, how much leash do I give Steve Kerr before I make a judgment on this stuff? Because I'm just putting 2 and 2 together, and I see when Will Richard is playing with all of our guys, or most of our guys, that should be a winning formula. Now, so far, we haven't really been able to see that yet, because you just look at his game log. He's got spot minutes here and there, and then like a lot of minutes against Portland, but we played bad as a team against Portland. Like, the analytics ain't going to show it quite yet. But now we have a game that he got to start. We only lost by 5 points. And I said this during the broadcast. If you go and look at the cap sheet of the Warriors, we were missing, what is that? 113, 138. 138 million dollars of roster was missing for us. On the Sacramento side, they were missing a few guys as well. They were missing Zach LaVine, Sabonis, their top 2 guys, 89 million. Keegan makes it 100 million. They were missing 100 million. We're missing 138 million worth of roster spots. They're missing 100 million, and we only lost by 5 points to them. Now you go out and you go look at BK Ref, and you go find me a $38 million player, okay? A $38 million player that we get to add to our squad to even it up with Sacramento. I'm just telling you that this 5-point loss to a Sacramento team that's, not that great, they're fringe playing. But our second timeline nearly beat that squad. And for our second timeline, if we're talking 2 timelines, the whole thing, if it's fair, then our second timeline, we would be able to pick up another $38 million guy to have a fair fight against the Kings. And the Kings, just like Steve said in the postgame, they utilized their experience. We had DeMar DeRozan posting up and drawing fouls and going to the line. So we were missing 138 million. SAC was missing 100 million. So who's the $38 million player that would have helped us, right? That's the Brandon Ingrams, it's the MPJs, it's any of these guys. Don't you think if we picked up any of these guys just in the fantasy league type situation, don't you think we would win that battle? So when we're talking about 2 timeline things and like all the pod boys on Twitter that have criticized Lacob, Dunleavy for the 2 timeline thing, I think our young guys have proven that they belong and that we've succeeded in this 2 timeline situation, because when you compare it to Sacramento, our young guys, we're better than them, and they've been around. Like Sacramento has a decent squad now. Again, we're comparing apples and oranges though, so I'm trying to make them all apples or all oranges in terms of they're missing Sabonis and Levine, that's $100 million, and Keegan Murray, that's $100 million. We're missing Steph, Jimmy, and Draymond, that's $138 million. Okay, if we were going to go compare against the Kings, then you need to give me a $38 million player, and I think any of these guys would have put us over the top against Sacramento. So hopefully you understand my logic on that. I'm just saying that these young guys, they deserve to be in the NBA, and we didn't screw up any of that. In fact, the only thing we screwed up was James Wiseman, and maybe another pick that I'm not remembering after that. Probably just trading out Jordan Poole for Chris Paul. So we made a few mistakes, but there's a lot of hits as well. All right. Final thing, just looking at the rotation. Draymond's a 4, Jimmy's a 3, 4. Draymond's a 4-5, so we don't need to worry about that in the context of Will Richard, thankfully, because we've got enough variables to deal with. So for Denver rotation, just the most obvious to me is Buddy Hield instead of his 13 minutes. But we should look at a game that is like the last Denver game. Let's look at the last Denver game and see how it all panned out. In fact, let's do this. Schedule. Calendar. What was it? October. We got to find the Nuggets and the Warriors, whenever that was. There's got to be an easier way to do this than what I'm doing. Let me just find the date. Memphis, it had to be before Memphis. One right before Memphis, I think. Portland, yeah, the one right before Portland. There it is. Oops, clicked on the wrong thing. And of course it sends me all the way back. Lovely. Week 1. There it is, box score. All right. Tough to look at this in terms of a regular game because it was overtime, but yeah, Buddy played 23 minutes in a 53-minute game. Yeah, I'm sorry. Now Will Richard needs to take those minutes. Flip-flop. Flip-flop. I think that's the easy solution. Just flip-flop Will Richard and Buddy, and we're good. And there's nothing else we need. But I'm interested in seeing what the actual rotation will be. But the problem is Steph isn't going to play, so it's just really hard to predict. So I think just looking ahead, I think all we can say is that we'd like to see Will Richard be one of the first guys that comes off the bench. Okay with starting Brandon at the point. He's a pretty solid point. I don't think Will Richard can play point, so it's not a situation where Will Richard will take Brandon's minutes. And I do think that means Pat Spencer will back up Brandon Pajemski. And I think it's as simple as that. It just flip-flop Buddy Hield with Will Richard and do it now. Don't wait. Don't wait for Buddy Hield to make a mistake. It's done. You just have to sit with them and just go, hey, look, Will Richard is playing too good right now. He happens to play the 2. You play the 2. I'm sorry. I love you, buddy, but yeah, you're gonna sub in when we need you. and as long as Will Richard is playing the way he is, we don't need you. So sorry about that. And that's the only thing I can recommend for the Denver game. So yeah, with that, we'll see you tomorrow for the Denver game. It's not really saying much. It's saying pretty much the obvious, what we talked about last night. And we voted on that, and we all said that we'd rather have Will Richard in there instead of Buddy Hield. But I do want to make it clear that I don't think it's Will Richard for Brandon Pajemski. I don't think that works. I don't think it's Will Richard for Pat Spencer. That doesn't compute for me either. So I expect Brandon to have the same amount of minutes. And same thing with Pat Spencer. I know Pat has limitations, and he does frustrate me as well, but he's the backup point guard. He just is. The pecking order is Steph, Brandon, Pat. Steph's out, everybody moves up one slot. And Will Richard is not part of that. Now, Will could leak over to be a 3. He's a 2 or a 3, but that's what Buddy does as well when we go small. So that's what I hope to see tomorrow. And that's just it. So hope you can join us tomorrow, because that's the next live. And we'll see you then. Next live is tomorrow, 7 o'clock. Actually, 6:30. We'll get on early. Pacific Standard Time for GSW Denver. I know it's going to be a tough game. I know it's going to be a revenge game for the Nuggets. But I have high hopes that I really do think we're good enough, especially when we have Jimmy and Draymond. I do think it's a winnable game without those two. Why? Because the youngsters showed me. Denver has to play their second unit at some point as well. And while they do have good guys like Peyton Watson and Bruce Brown, who have been around and they have a ring, I actually think that our second unit's better. So If we just play to our ceiling, and if JK can cut down the turnovers, and if he starts turning the ball over again, then I have no qualms to just getting Guy Santos in there. Same situation. Like, this is your spot to lose, JK. As soon as you turn the ball over, Guy Santos comes in. Sorry about that, but not sorry. And for me, Buddy Hield goes to the bench, period. And it's, goes down a notch, and Richard leapfrogs him. And I just think Will does so many things, just like Steve said. Iguodala things, Livingston things, David West things, Zaza Pachulia type things that connect the game and is a stabilizer out there. And it doesn't seem like he's turning the ball over much. Let's take a look real quick before we get out of here. Will Richard. Turnovers 1-0-1-1-2. Yeah, that's pretty good. Actually, we've played a whole many more games than just that. Go click on this one. Threw me off there because he only has 1 year of experience. But let's look at turnovers. Just one last night out of all the 20 turnovers we had last night. He only committed one. So that I'm looking forward to him playing in a, man, I don't know another guy that I could root for more right now on the Warriors. So I better see it, though. I'm going to be disappointed if he is the 10th man in the rotation. I will be, because what else does this guy have to do? But I always take it with a grain of salt. If he does not play as much as I think he will, then I want to see what the explanation is, especially if we lose. And that's it. So glad you could join us, Bruce. But we'll see you guys tomorrow. Let's run the outro. We need an outro with Will in it.
3, 4. Basketball, give it.
No, stop.
I'm sorry, guys.
Stop that.
Don't get it. Basketball,
Please.
Yeah, I can't play the actual song. Get well soon, Steph.
The relationship the two of you have. This is going to be it.
I love playing with you.
She's a
Ruined the moment, buddy.
And Brate, guys. See you tomorrow.